Hello friends, welcome back to Pathshala. In today's class, we will discuss the types of cellular respiration. In previous class, we will discuss what is respiration process and the process of respiration along with the equation of respiration. So in today's video, we will talk about the different types of respiration. So there are basically two types of cellular respiration. One happens in the presence of oxygen, and another one occurs when the oxygen is deficient. So the first one is occurs in presence of oxygen, and this one is known as aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, first we will talk about the aerobic respiration. So in the aerobic respiration occurs in the area where oxygen is sufficient, means in presence of oxygen the aerobic respiration process occurs. So in aerobic respiration process, the glucose is completely oxidized by the help of oxygen molecule to carbon dioxide, water and energy. So if we write down the equation is just same as the equation of respiration that we discussed in previous classes. So the aerobic respiration equation is C6H12O6 means glucose. It oxidized and releases CO2, forms H2O, and it also releases energy, that is 38 ATP molecules. This is a simple respiration process that we talked earlier classes also. This process or this aerobic respiration occurs in humans along with other aerobic organisms. The next process is anaerobic respiration. So the next one is anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration occurs in oxygen deficient areas, means where the areas that are lack of oxygen, in that area or in that organisms that live in oxygen deficient condition, in their body anaerobic type of respiration occurs. Anaerobic type of respiration mainly observed in some different types of bacteria like lactobacillus bacteria, then yeast, along with some parasites that found in guts of vertebrates like the roundworm or the tapeworm. So this roundworm and tapeworm actually live in oxygen deficient areas of vertebrates gut. So in their body, the respiration process that occurs is aerobic respiration. So in aerobic respiration, what happens is the glucose first converted into the pyruvic acid. So their body, the glucose molecule, that is C6H12O6, the glucose molecule first turned into this glucose first converted into pyruvic acid, that is CH3COCOOH. We can also write in this form C3H4O3. We can also write in this form. So this one is pyruvic acid. Then the pyruvic acid transformed into ethyl alcohol via acetaldehyde. So the pyruvic acid first converted into one carbon dioxide molecule exits from this structure, and the acetaldehyde forms, that is CH3 COHO. CH3 CH3 CHO CHO. This is known as acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde. This acetaldehyde then transformed via the addition of two hydrogen atoms. It transformed into the ethyl alcohol, that is 2C2H5OH. This is known as ethyl alcohol plus 2 CO2 molecule is released plus the energy is formed. But here the energy formed is very less amount than the aerobic respiration. In aerobic respiration, we saw that 38 atoms of ATP molecule formed, but in this case the ATP molecule formed is only 2, means only 2 ATP molecule is formed in the anaerobic process. So this is the anaerobic process or anaerobic pathway in yeast and some other bacteria like lactobacillus, or this process also occurs in case of tapeworm and roundworms. Another anaerobic respiration occurs in our body also in lack of oxygen or oxygen deficient condition. That is, when we exercise a lot or when we exercise for a while, or means for 1 hour or like 30 minutes, then our muscle gets cramped or our muscle starts cramping. This cramping actually occurs or happens due to the formation of lactic acid. Glucose, when we in the nutrition process, we learned that in the excess amount of glucose is stored in our liver, but some amount of glucose is also stored in our muscle cells. So when we exercise a lot, this glucose transformed into lactic acid in anaerobic condition or in oxygen deficient condition. So the glucose, that is C6, the glucose, that is C6H12O6, glucose transformed into lactic acid, that is 2C2. This lactic acid actually 2C2H6O3. Okay, the formula of lactic acid is C3H6O3. The formula of lactic acid is C3H6O3. So in muscle of vertebrates or in muscle of human, when vigorous exercise occurs or when we run when we run in for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, when we start jogging, and after jogging the muscle of our leg starts cramping. Why? Because the glucose stored in our muscle formed lactic acid. This one is lactic acid. So the lactic acid, when oxygen, after doing the exercise, our body restores. Means when the exercise is completed, we inhale oxygen a lot and our breathing process is much more faster than the normal rate. So in that condition, the lactic acid again breaks down into carbon dioxide and water and releases the energy. So with the help of oxygen in presence of oxygen, this lactic acid breaks down into carbon dioxide and water, and it also releases some amount of energy, very less amount of energy, but it releases some amount of less amount of energy. And when the oxygen is sufficient, then this lactic acid, when breaks down in CO2, water and energy, our other body parts also restores, and this thing, or with the help of oxygen, when lactic acid is converted into CO2 and H2O, this process is known as oxygen debt. Oxygen debt. So this is a very important term. What is oxygen debt? The lactic acid is only formed into the muscles or in muscle cells. So thank you so much for today's class. We will meet in next class. Thank you.